Hi, new fresh video. So what I wanted to talk today about was the brilliance of ourselves and how we're all intelligent by design. Everything in nature is, like whether it's a leaf, whether it's a ladybug, whether it's, a bird, ourselves, everything in nature is intelligent by design. So at some level we must also be. So let's look at the definition of intelligence to start with, and our intelligence tests in that, we measure them not on finding facts or what you know in that, we measure in our intelligence tests, we measure intelligence on our ability to solve a problem, on our ability to take something from point A to point B, and that's actually how we measure intelligence. And so if you're intelligent by design, I have this here. I have to use this because I haven't got a whiteboard, but I'm going to get one. There's one in storage and I'm going to get it because I think it'll be really helpful in these little clips. But it's like along here, and then you got me looking like a potato, you looking like a potato, and everybody else and everything else in life. And it's all connected. All of us are connected at some fundamental level to all and everything, right? And this is what every philosophy, science and religion agree on, is that while we exist singly, we exist connected to the whole, that at some level we are all and everything, at some level I am all and everything, and at some level you are all and everything, and every philosophy and science and religion all agree on that fact, and while, there's our singular selves, and then we're connected into what gets called a collective consciousness, religion might call this God, science might call it the unified field, philosophers might call it consciousness, whatever you want to label that as, In science, what they did is they took a photon, which is a packet of light, the beginning of matter, and they broke it into two parts, This is why science believes that while we exist singularly, we exist connected into a whole, of all and everything, is because they took a photon, packet of light, broke it into, and then they got some fiber optic cables, and they sent one half of that packet of light, which a photon is, in one direction 7 miles, and then the other half in the other direction 7 miles, so 14 miles or kilometres, I'm not quite sure, you might have to research that. And what they found is that while they did something to this half, there was an automatic response and that happening to the other half over here, at the 14 kilometres away. Whatever they did to this one was happening to this one here. So what they concluded then was that even though we exist separately, there's something that's still connecting us, and so that was that's the science behind it, or how science have come to conclude that was with that particular test and that, and you can look that up and do your own research though. But that's the one thing that they all do agree on. While we exist singularly, we exist throughout the entirety of the whole. And our DNA speaks of that, It's like, while it can exist in a single cell in your bit of hair, it existing throughout the entirety of your whole also, And so when I'm at a reading with you, I think for 10 years, at least 10 years, I thought I was getting the information from you, I thought I was reading people, I thought I was reading your mind and that, and then somebody asked me one day when I was on radio, is it better to get one in person, or is it okay to get one on the phone and that, and I was like, well, actually, it's both exactly the same. And I thought when I went home later, how can they be both exactly the same? Like, why isn't one better than the other, how can it be exactly the same? Why did I answer like that? And it was in that I realised that I've been looking for 10 years at it like it's an out there thing, I thought I was picking up the information from you out here, which doesn't make much sense really when you're in a consultation with me and I'm telling you about your kids or your husband or someone else in your life, and then it's like, that person isn't in the room with me. Like, where's that information coming from? And so what I came to realise was that I'm never reading anyone's mind. I'm only ever actually able to read my own mind and what it has to say about you, because at some level here, I am you. And so when I'm in a reading and I kind of pick up, oh, have you changed your tyre recently and thought about a haircut and seen a rose, Like, I might ask you those things in a reading and you'll be like, wow, yeah, cool, yeah, I did that yesterday, whatever. And, but when I'm picking up that information, I pick it up as, if I'm you, I feel like I've looked at a rose. If I'm you, I feel like I've changed a tyre. I don't word it that way to you. I'll be just like, you've changed tyre, But actually, when I'm getting the information, how I'm experiencing myself is I'm feeling like, if I'm you, I feel like I've done this. If I'm you, I feel like I've seen this. It's kind of like I'm stepping into your shoes, I suppose, and looking at your life through your lenses and that, I suppose, to give you some feedback that inevitably will confirm some things for you, or give a deeper layer of understanding to what you're going through and why, and put you back in that driver's seat, And so when you're perceiving that, you're getting it out here, like picking it up off that person and that, right? And then you are subjected to a lot of limitations that can come about, like somebody said to me one day, do you find males harder to read than females? As soon as I've answered them one way or the other, I've limited myself in that way. Like if I say, well, females are way easier to read, then I'm going to start having challenges when I read males and that, And I think that's kind of what a lot of us do, is we create all these limitations around, and really it's about freeing ourselves of those rather than learning how to do something in particular. It's more freeing ourselves of all the beliefs and concepts and everything that we've wrapped around that keeps us in separation from being more conscious of this. This is still all going on in there and everything, You have those moments in your life where you think the phone's going to ring and then it does. That's you tapping into this. It's you having a bit of a taste of this. And it always feels really cool. Even though you don't understand why the experience happened, or when you'll get another one, or what it even meant. It was kind of cool because you tell your mate about it, Like you knew something before it happened, or you sensed the presence around, or whatever, And this is like a language that's speaking to you constantly, And never not going on. Like your heartbeat, your lungs, all of that is always going on. There's this language inside you that's a part of as much of your inherent nature and the science of your cells as your chemistry, biology, physics, Language is in there as well. And so when you have those moments in your life where you think the phone's going to ring and then it does, or you know something and before it happens, and it's like that's when you become conscious of this layer of yourself. This is always going on. And then in those moments where you think the phone's going to ring and then it does, you become conscious of it. But what you do with that then, what we all do with that, is we perceive it as this thing that happened to me, like it's something that came from out here and I knew something before it happened, And when we go into that perspective of it, it's like we're no longer in the driver's seat, because now we've just got to wait until it happens again, if it's something that happened to us, Wherefore, this is never not happening. You're getting spoken to all the time, never not getting spoken to. There's never not this language going on inside of you. And in those moments, you become conscious of it, And how do we be able to just go in there and become conscious of this when we want, And that's kind of what my workshops and everything have been about, is about being able to put you in the driver's seat with all of this, so you can source that information intuitively anytime you want, It's always there, And so yeah, it was good. And how I came to realise that too was also realising that I can't actually read you as such or read your mind because I can actually only experience me, you know? Because only you can experience you and only I can experience me. And what I mean by that is if me and you both jumped on a roller coaster, right, we think we're experiencing the roller coaster, but we're not. The only thing getting experienced in that equation is the feeling of the ride, you know, and how that ride feels to me feels different to you because only you can experience you and only I can experience me, you know. And so we think we're experiencing all these things in life, but we're actually the only experience that's going down is how we feel about all these things, you know, and how these things feel to me that are going on in my life feel very different to you, and only I can experience me and only you can experience you. So I'm never ever reading anybody else's mind or experiencing anybody else. I am only ever reading what my own mind has to say about you, because at some level, this level, I am you. I am you, I am all, I am everything, just as you are at that level, all and everything, you know? And I worded this, I go back to the early days in that when I was fumbling around. I mean, I didn't have a clue what the experiences were or meant, or, I mean, I had no context to put anything in. I had no past experiences of anything to do with religion or spirituality or any of that. And, you know, even though in the beginning it was very, very confusing and all of that, I think in the way in which I have moved through the experiences that have led me to understand the things I've seek to understand, and that I've been quite blessed actually to have been able to do that free of any preconceived ideas, you know, because they all would have had bearing, you know. And so what happens for a lot of us in that is we start to have more intuitive experiences, more spiritual experiences, and we go off to religion or spirituality or something to learn about that, you know. But the thing with belief systems, as much as everything's intelligent by design and all beautiful in that, is any belief system you go into, whether it's religion, spirituality or cultural things, whatever, it's all going to have rules and limits and boundaries because it's all going to have rights and wrongs, you know. I've never looked at this as a right or wrong or judged what I've done with it as right or wrong or anything, you know. It's like, it's just me experiencing me and my connected to all and everything, my connection to all and everything, you know. And I think what happens is when we go into these different experiences to learn about ourselves at this level or to make sense of some experiences we're having perhaps, you know, we're going to take on board a lot of different ideas, and all of those ideas are going to create limitations and actually keep you quite separate from this in a lot of ways, you know, because you're going to first and foremost be given ideas that this stuff is all coming from out here, you know. And so in spiritualism it's like you know, it's a gift, or it's going to take years to develop, or, I mean, if it's a gift, we have to feel worthy of a gift for starters, and we're also self-judgy. It's like, who's even believing that they're worthy of it, you know? And then the years of developing in that, I mean, well, I mean, if I believed I had to sit by a full moon once a month, cleanse my aura every day, meditate twice a week, eat healthy, do this, do that, in order to be able to be psychic and aware and ultimately love thyself, then it's going to take all of that for me to be able to be psychic and aware of that, because I'm believing that to start with, you know. So I was really quite blessed in the beginning to not have any preconceived ideas in that definitely would have had bearing in my understanding of all of this, you know. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I definitely, was quite conflicted and confronted with my ideas in the beginning, because I was kind of like, maybe I'm just really lazy, you know? Maybe I'm just spiritually lazy. Maybe I should be meditating. Maybe I should be, you know, doing this and doing that, and, you know, and, but you guys as my customers, you know, I just keep getting confirmation after one person after the next, you know? It's like, you all inform me how I read so differently and how I make a big difference in your life, and so many of you have, you know, really appreciated the insight that you've had and thanked me. And I mean, I get so many texts all the time from you guys going, oh my gosh, thank you so much, my life makes more sense now, you're brilliant, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, you, each and every one of you, every customer that I've had in that has really, really helped me with this journey, like tenfold. Like, you have no idea, you know. You've all valued me, you've valued my worth, you've definitely given me feedback that's made me realise that I am making a really valuable contribution, and there is purpose in the consultations that I have, and that I'm benefiting people, you know. I mean, I didn't even have other psychics to compare myself to or any of that. I think we're all on our own journey, fumbling through and that, but for me, it was quite different because I didn't have that interest in anything, you know, like I didn't have these spiritual experiences because I wanted to know about spiritual things or even had an interest in any of it, or and even everything that I've learned, you know. I mean, I've channeled about biology, physics, chemistry, the brain, and I mean, I did a lot of writing for a lot of years, and all of those subject matters were just kind of me breaking down the understanding of what aspects of our physiology and biology enable these experiences to be possible intuitively, you know, so that I could then share that understanding and put that into context for people in a way that could be understood in terms of how we operate and function, you know. So, but I didn't sit there and want to learn about physics or biology or any of that. Yet here I was writing about these subjects all day, every day, like I was passionately in love with them at the time, you know. I did seek to know and understand myself, and I did seek to know life. And the experiences that have unfolded in my journey that have helped enable me to know the things that I've come to know and understand this in all the ways that I understand this. All of the experiences that I've had that have made all that possible have never been things that I've gone off and shown an interest in or anything, you know. It's like, it's just the next thing that I find myself in, and what's happening to me, and or happening for me, I should say. And so, yeah, my journey's been a little bit different from the norm, and everything that I share with everybody is always based in the experiences that I've had and what I've learned through those experiences. And you know, and I mean, I don't want to tell you what to believe or not to believe and all of that, you know, like that's up to you, that's your journey. But I hope to guide you and contribute enough knowledge and information that in turn can help you in having a better relationship with yourself, having a relationship with yourself to start with, you know, and some tips on how to look inward and how to get that happening a bit more, and ultimately end up in the driver's seat of your own life, you know. And that's the most important thing. Like I'm going to go into all the other topics, like the dead people and guides and health and healing and all of these other beautiful things. But my primary focus is definitely helping the self to be realised, and and giving people that guidance, you know. Even in a reading, it's like, who cares what's in your future? Yeah, it's better, you got a bigger house, you own more, whatever. But if you're not going to be happy and at peace and like who you are and all of that, then what the hell does it matter, you know? Like I learned a long time ago that that's not what brings happiness. There's millionaires out there shooting themselves, you know, so it's all that stuff and everything we do in that isn't guaranteed a happiness at all, you know. There's just not enough evidence of that for me to keep expanding on my life and adding to the responsibilities and everything in hopes that one day I can feel or be without fear, you know, feel secure, feel stable, be without fear, all of that. But that's not how you're going to get there, you know. It's all about the relationship that you have with yourself. It's all about connecting with yourself at this deeper level, and you don't got to do anything out there to reach this point, you know. You just need to look at things a bit differently from a new perspective that's going to arise in you, new questions in a different way than you would have otherwise asked them. And the questions are going to be more about you than why did he do that? It's like, actually, why have I aligned to that? Why do I keep creating this? And bringing that questioning back to the self. And then in turn, you're manifesting the experiences that are going to give you those answers and help enable you to know you, like you, see your worth and value. That's always been there, you know. Never not been there. Everything you're looking for is already packaged inside of you. You just keep looking for it somewhere else, you know. It's kind of like, I did a weird thing the other week, you know, 'cause I've still got the blonde side of me, my personality, where I'm like talking on the phone and to my friend while I'm looking for my phone, you know. Well, the true nature of you is pretty much the same, you know. It's there with you while you're looking for it out there and everywhere. You got it right there. So already everything's already inside of you. Never anywhere else, never been anywhere else. And I'm hoping from these videos, especially this first lot of them, the first folder that I'm doing here, hoping to offer up some suggestions and tips and ways of looking at things that can ultimately help turn you inward, you know, and help improve the relationship that you've got with yourself. You know, because these little clips and that are going to give birth to, you know, you'll give birth to questions. Look at things in a new way, and from that you'll come to self-discover. And that's all going on anyway, you know. But when we're consciously doing that, you know, it's like we definitely can make it a hell of a lot easier for ourselves than we're making it, I tell you that. Yeah. So, you're intelligent by design. You've got the ability to solve problems. You've got the ability to take things from point A to point B. That's all you're ever doing. And you're doing that through cause and effect. You're doing that through the questions that you're asking, determining the experiences that you're having. And, you know, because people are like, yeah, well, I had to go through that because I had to learn this, I had to learn that. I'm like, you're not learning anything as such. It's just that the self's getting more realised through those experiences. And when you start to engage with yourself more, you start to find yourself so interesting, you know. You start regaining your self-worth. That's always been there, you know, before life stripped it away and has hammered it along the way, and before you've entertained the idea that you're not good and you're hopeless and you're dumb and you're this and you're that, and oh my gosh, yeah, we're pretty hard on ourselves. We do it all to ourselves. So keep it simple, keep it easy. There is only the experience of you going on, you know, and get back into the driver's seat of your own life. And I hope these videos will help contribute to making that journey a lot easier for each and every one of you. Talk again.